All right, strap in everyone because today we are going deep,
Deep into a real wrestling mystery.
like seriously deep. We're talking 80s WWF, vanished wrestlers, the whole 9 yards.
Our subject today is Michael Saxon.
Michael Saxon, ring any bells?
Didn't think so.
That's kind of the point of this whole deep dive, right? This guy, he basically disappeared off the face of the earth.
And we're going to try to piece together, well, whatever we can.
Using, let's see, we've got some old YouTube matches, some, shall we say, colorful commentary.
Oh yeah, the commentators did not hold back.
And of course, we've got that WrestleCrap article, which, they kind of have a thing for these wrestling mysteries.
They really dug into this one.
Okay, so first things first, who was this Michael Saxon?
All right, so picture this. It's 1985, peak WWF rock and wrestling era.
Think City Lopper, MTV.
It was wild.
And into this walks Michael Saxon, dressed like, well,
Like he just walked off the set of a Michael Jackson video.
the sources describe him as a huge Michael Jackson fan.
And apparently he even wrestled in this blue sequined jacket.
Like the one from the Thriller video?
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got a Michael Jackson impersonator wrestling in the WWF. That's got to be a recipe for success, right?
Well, that's where things get interesting.
Let's just say the wrestling skills didn't quite match the outfit.
One commentator even said he was spending more time jiving with the people than actually, wrestling.
Harsh. That's got to sting.
And then there's the term they kept using to describe him, the King of Job.
The King of Job. What does that even mean?
Basically, it means he was a jobber.
A jobber.
Yeah, a wrestler who consistently loses to make their opponents look good.
So we've got a guy who looks like a pop star, can't really wrestle, and then just vanishes. It almost sounds made up.
Right, and get this, the WrestleCrap article, it claims that back in 2005, there was almost nothing about him online.
Nothing. Like, at all.
Barely anything, which is crazy to think about now, right?
In the age of the internet, how do you just disappear?
Exactly. It makes you wonder, did he leave wrestling, change his name? Is he out there somewhere living a totally normal life?
So many questions.
So many questions.
But here's what I don't get. If he wasn't any good, how come people still remember him?
You'd think a jobber would be, well, forgettable, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of like, when you see a car crash in slow motion.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible, but you can't look away.
You're telling me.
And I think that's part of it with Michael Saxon. He was so bad, it was almost entertaining.
Like, so bad it's good.
Exactly.
The WrestleCrap article even talks about this.
They're like, imagine if he turned into a villain, a heel.
Like the honky talk man.
Yeah. Or what if he'd stuck around for the Attitude Era?
He could have been huge.
Right. But instead, poof, he's gone.
It's like he had all this potential, but then just vanished.
And maybe that's why he's stuck in people's
the
minds.
mystery keeps him alive.
Exactly. We're left wondering, what if? Which is always more intriguing than just, another average wrestler.
Okay, so we've got this Michael Jackson-inspired wrestler who wasn't very good, vanished without a trace, and somehow became this weird cult figure years later.
You got it.
Where do we even go from here?
Well, to really understand Michael Saxon, we got to look closer at what he was doing in the ring.
Like, was it really all Michael Jackson, or was there something else going on?
Good question.
We've got the mystery of his disappearance, the strangeness of his wrestling career, and now this whole pop star angle.
This is going to be good.
Michael Saxon is way more interesting than I ever imagined.
You're telling me, so that blue sequin jacket?
The one he was practically glued to.
Yeah, that one, WrestleCrap actually points out that it wasn't just any blue sequin jacket.
Okay.
It was like he'd raided Michael Jackson's closet.
Like an exact replica?
Pretty much. Epaulates, military details, the whole shebang.
Wow, he was really committed to the bid, huh?
Oh, yeah, and you got to think, this was 1985, peak Michael Jackson mania.
Thriller was everywhere.
Exactly. So Saxon, he was tapping into something huge.
But then you see him in the ring, and
Yeah, not exactly king of pop level moves.
that's got to be the weirdest part of this whole thing, right? The look versus the reality.
Total disconnect. You've got this pop culture iconography, this high concept idea, but then
The executioners.
let's just say it leaves something to be desired.
It's like, imagine showing up to a mud wrestling match in a tuxedo.
Perfect analogy. High expectations. And then
Splat.
splat is right. And the commentary, it's brutal. They're talking about him getting thrown around like a rag doll, spinning aimlessly.
There was that one line about how he wasn't putting a lot behind those blows.
During the Iron Mike Sharp match. Yeah, I remember that one.
It just makes his whole disappearance even weirder, right? If you were going all in on a gimmick like that, wouldn't you try to, I don't know.
Milked it for all it's worth.
Exactly.
Unless, of course, the disappearance was part of the gimmick.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying this was all planned?
Think about it. Wrestler vanishes without a trace, no explanation, no internet presence.
It's like a wrestling urban legend.
Exactly. Michael Saxon, the Bigfoot of the WWF.
I gotta admit, that's kind of brilliant.
Right. It adds this whole other layer to the story.
It makes you wonder, what's the truth? Did he just walk away? Is he out there somewhere still rocking the sequins?
Or is he just a ghost story passed down from fan to fan?
Man, so many questions. I guess that's part of what makes this whole deep dive so fun, though, right?
Absolutely. Trying to figure it all out, filling in the blanks.
Creating our own
We're all
narratives.
storytellers in a way.
Speaking of stories,
Yeah.
there's one more piece of the Michael Saxon puzzle we haven't really talked about.
Was that his opponents?
The unlucky souls who had to share Bering with him.
It's more than that, though, right? Like, they're part of his story, too.
Absolutely. They contribute to the mythos, even in defeat.
So, remind me, who did he wrestle against?
Well, we've mentioned Iron Mike Sharp, Terry Funk,
Right, right.
but there was also S.D. Jones.
Wasn't he, like, super strong or something?
Yeah, known for his strength, but not so much for his wins. Wait a minute. So Saxon was losing to guys who were themselves known for losing?
Seems that way.
Isn't that kind of ironic? Like the jobber getting jobbed by other jobbers?
It's almost meta, isn't it?
Like some kind of commentary on the whole nature of wrestling?
Maybe. Or maybe it was just a series of unfortunate coincidences.
Either way, it adds to the mystery.
For sure, it shows how even the smallest details can become part of a wrestler's legacy.
Even someone as enigmatic as Michael Saxon.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the gimmick, the, shall we say, unique wrestling skills, and the mysterious disappearance.
We've hit all the major points.
But what about his legacy? How does a guy like Michael Saxon, who wasn't a champion or even a particularly good wrestler,
Leave a mark on the world of wrestling.
yeah, how?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't
And
it?
it's one we're going to tackle head on as we continue our deep dive into the curious case of Michael Saxon.
It's going to be good.
Okay, so we spent all this time talking about Michael Saxon and how he wasn't exactly, a wrestling superstar,
Not in the traditional sense, no.
but he's still this cult figure all these years later.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Like, how does that happen? How do you become a wrestling legend by, well, not being very good at wrestling?
It's a good question, and I think the answer is it's not about the wins and losses.
Okay.
It's about, I don't know, the sheer audacity of it all, the commitment to a persona, even when it maybe wasn't working.
Oh, you're saying his legacy is built on, what, being bad?
No, not bad, just different.
Different how?
He embraced this absurdity, and he stuck with it, even though, let's be honest, it probably wasn't going to lead to championship gold.
But that's almost inspiring, right? Like, he had this vision and he went for it, even if it meant,
Falling flat on his face.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know, watching someone try to do a backflip and just totally wiping out.
You cringe, but you also kind of admire the effort.
Yeah, there's something about that, like the courage to fail spectacularly.
I think that's what resonates with people. We all have dreams that, well, maybe don't always pan out.
Oh, for sure.
But Saxon, he turned that failure into something else.
Into something memorable.
Exactly. He's the ultimate underdog, the guy who dared to be different, even if it meant becoming a bit of a joke.
And isn't that kind of beautiful in a way?
Absolutely. In a world that's so focused on, winning and being the best, Michael Saxon reminds us that it's okay to just be yourself.
Even if that self is a little bit, well, weird.
Especially if it's a little weird. He's a breath of fresh air, this reminder that wrestling and life doesn't always have to be so serious.
He was out there dancing to his own tune.
Sequin jacket shimmering.
Even if he was stepping on a few toes along the way.
And that's a powerful message, wouldn't you say?
I think so. So what can we or anyone listening take away from all of this?
Maybe it's a little push to embrace that inner Michael Saxon within all of us.
That little voice that says, go for it, even if it's crazy.
Yeah. Chase those dreams, even if they seem impossible.
Because who knows, you might just become a legend in the process.
Even if it's not the kind of legend you expected.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere out there, Michael Saxon is still dancing, sequins and all.
A testament to the power of dreams, no matter how strange they may be.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah, I think we've covered just about everything.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the curious case of Michael Saxon.
It's been a wild ride.
And remember, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
You never know what you might find.